Can you hear me?
Coach,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Coach?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
You good. You are good, man. I appreciate it, man. I know this we had had an issue getting on and everything.
Yeah, golly, it's crazy.
It
You
is.
doing okay?
Man, Coach, I'm all right, man. It's I look at it right now in this world. I don't think we've ever been through anything. This world's not seen anything like this in 100 years.
Yeah, yeah, it's just crazy.
I mean, from everything in the news, the police, to this virus. It's stressful and it's impacting the whole world, Coach.
Yeah, it's definitely like you said, something that hasn't ever been seen. It's just kind of one thing after another. I feel like, and I try to stay off the news. I can't even turn it on. It's just so like negative the way things are viewed and stuff. And that's not who I am like as a person. And it's tough. So
I agree. I think what I had to pretty much put my phone away because it could be heavy. It could be heavy, and I think you know it can be draining. And it's like what, I get what's going on, but how can I do something positive about it?
yeah. Yeah, that's how kind of I think too. We're having a team meeting with our team today, and just gonna put it out there and talk about it. I just think that it's a subject that not a lot of people feel comfortable doing, but sometimes those uncomfortable situations are kind of what helps spur people along a little bit. So,
Man, I agree, and I think this us being different, Coach, it helps people to be like, it's okay to be different and still be okay with each other. You know,
yeah, I mean, that's how I'm different just in the way that I do stuff and the way I see stuff. And I was actually talking to one of my teammates, and when I grew up, um, my school was kind of like half and half. I went to a small school. Grosbeck was the high school that I went to, and like all my friends were, basically black. And everyone used to discriminate me and say I was trying to act black. And of course, I'm like, okay, like, no, these are just my friends. And so we were kind of talking about that. Like some of my friends, one of them, she's actually she preaches. And so we were just talking about it. And it's just different. I don't know. That's not how I was raised and not, um, I know people say like you don't see color, but that's like false, I think, because you see color. That's how God made you. Your eyes are like your strongest sense. That's how we sense things. So people that are blind and stuff, I just have a more like respect for because they can't actually see what we see. And so it's just different. I don't know. So I've been processing a lot, and I am very strong in my faith. And so my perspective always comes from the Bible, so to speak. So that's how I kind of have taken an approach with this and um, kind of using it like that way. So, but it's different for sure.
I agree, Coach. Man, it kind of segued into that. Just doing a little research on you, getting into why we're here. If I'm not mistaken, you shoot that thing pretty good, don't you? I mean,
I
talk to me about your
mean,
basketball experience. I mean, I see that you put up some numbers, some quality numbers. It's Angelo State,
yeah.
um, and did well. So kind of go into your where you are right now as far as coaching and your basketball experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my experience obviously with basketball, I started when I was really young. just something that I really loved and kind of spent a lot of time doing. Obviously, my dream was always to play basketball in college. So obviously, I went to Angelo State, had a really good career. And then obviously now I've been here at West Texas going on, this will be my 7th year. And it's kind of crazy. I can't believe I've been out playing for college for that long. But, I just think that as a coach and obviously growing up around the sports, I really don't know anything other than sports, just because that's how I, was raised and stuff. But it just, the platform that I feel like coaching has given me is just, I believe that we're on this earth to serve. And I felt like God called me to serve young girls in not just basketball, but all areas of life. And so obviously the route I chose was the coaching route, to obviously give my knowledge back from the game, but also see girls grow, to young women. And so that's kind of where I am now. I've been here 7 years, like I said, and all the girls that I've coached have touched me in some way. And there's always, players that you kind of draw to more just from personalities and backgrounds and stuff like that. So it's been a great experience. I don't really know what I would do if I wasn't coaching. So I'm very grateful and thankful for the opportunity that I have.
I think I agree. I think people that stay in it more than 5 years is a calling that you've answered, and God is going to sustain you
Mm.
based on how you performed in those in that time. And I think that's really important. So I think we touched on a little bit what influenced you, what motivated you to pick up that basketball the first time. Like, there's nothing else for me.
Yeah, so I I always, grew up playing sports, and I would say that I did everything. I did soccer, I did football, I did baseball, softball. I mean, you name it. There was not a sport I don't think that I didn't play. But there's just something about basketball to me that kind of just drew me. Obviously, it was just the ball in me. And that's where I kind of found my most peace, even when I was working out, when I was young, just going to the gym. I just give me a ball and give me a hoop and I was fine. I remember my mom and dad used to have to like give me like curfews because they're like, you can't stay, because I would go outside and shoot for hours and hours. And they're like, you can't be outside past, whatever. You got to come in, do your schoolwork and stuff like that. But I just, there's just something about basketball that really, kind of where I found my inner peace, so to speak. And I was always pretty motivated, kind of on my own, and just always wanted to challenge myself to be different. So I kind of use basketball in ways like that to just, kind of put me where I am today.
It's something. There's something, and tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me, please. But for me and what I'm hearing, it's some therapeutic when that ball is in your hand. You see that goal. Right? It's some therapeutic.
Oh yeah, there is. Even yesterday, you just, I'm dribbling and I shoot it and I'm like, dang, it still feels good. There's nothing. It just still feels right.
Man, it's just something about it, man. It just, and you know what I noticed? I think better after I worked out.
Oh, that's hands down for me. Like, after I finish playing, I'm just very, very competitive. I have this very like internal competitive drive. And so I've always had to like challenge myself. So I started off once I finished playing, I was like, okay, I'm going to run. I'm going to be a runner.
Okay.
So I'm going to run races. And so I did that for a little bit. I run some marathons, did some half marathons, and I'm like, all right, I need something different. So what I've been doing is professional bodybuilding. So I've been doing that, and I like that because that's a whole different like discipline that you got to have. So I've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years. So that's kind of where my mind and heart is with that, just my competitive drive right now. So,
So how long you been doing that, coach?
so I've been doing professional bodybuilding for about 4 years.
Oh
So,
wow, wow,
yeah, yeah.
wow. Okay. So coach, let me ask you, and this is a two-part question. What is your greatest accomplishment as a player, and what's some of the things that your players when you coach them? What's some of those accomplishments?
My greatest accomplishment as a player, I was a four-time All-American. At Angelo. I'm top five in all of the statistical categories. I don't know if that means much. Here in the fall, I'm going to be put in the Hall of Fame there. So those are just accomplishments, obviously, that are you know something that I'm very grateful and thankful for that I couldn't have done without my teammates and my coaches. But those is some goals that I'd set kind of going in, and I'm just pretty grateful for those. And my team that I've coached here at West Texas, this program is very has a lot of tradition. There's players and coaches before even I've gotten here that are just tremendous and just kind of what they have accomplished. And this program, I think it's at 958 win totals, which is getting close to 1,000, which would be the first Division II school to get that, like, all in the country. So it just kind of shows you like the tradition that this program has. So I'm very fortunate to have obviously come into a very successful program, and then obviously my job is to sustain that excellence, which we all know is never easy. And just the players that I've coached. I've had All Americans, I've had conference MVPs, but I think some of the biggest ones are, just the team accomplishments of going to the Elite Eight, stuff like that, that a lot of players will never have that experience. I didn't as a college athlete. So I think just experiencing the highest level of basketball, at that level, just being a part of that is something that a lot of kids can never say that they had.
Wow. So you going to the Hall of Fame? You kind of
Yeah.
slid that in there, coach. I ain't gonna let you just run by that just like I ain't gonna let you do that now. Come on. I mean, wow, that's coach. That's huge right there. Like,
Yeah, I had a really good career at Angelo. It was very good career for me and just individually. Obviously, maybe the team stuff we didn't have as much success, but coach, I just worked really, really hard. I was obviously blessed with some athleticism and speed and tap some of that, but I worked really hard.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have the numbers that you had as a player because it's just like, oh, I'm gonna be lazy, I'm gonna stay in the bed, or you didn't come outside your comfort zone. That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. So
No.
it doesn't happen. So and just because you change from a player to a coach doesn't mean you don't lose that same intensity, that same work ethic, that same drive. It just put a whistle in your mouth.
Hey, look, whenever coach is like, hey, I need you to jump in this drill. So I'll jump in the drill and she's like, something else like turns on in my head. So my players are like, oh my gosh, like coach is like, I just don't know any other way. Like when I jump in, it's like, all right, I don't care. Like, let's go. That's just how I am. Like
Got you.
that competitive stuff just start flowing.
You all in. You all
Yeah, that's how it is. Yep.
in.
Coach
There is
always
no
says like, no, there's no, it's like here or here. Coach is like, hey, I always say, like, if we need to steal, I'm gonna tell you to take your heels off and get in the game. Uh, yeah.
Man, so coach, what made because you've been there for 7 years at
Yeah, this will be my seventh. Yep.
wow. So like what is it like? I mean, what made you be like, this is the place for me? Like this is a good fit for me.
Well, so obviously Angelo and West Texas, they're in the same conference.
Mm-hmm.
And so I coached at Angelo after I finished playing, and then I was just kind of ready for a change. You know, I'd been there, played there, just wanted a different change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Coach Mark Kellogg, who's at SFA now, Stephen F. Austin,
Mm-hmm.
he was the coach here at the time, and he had an opening on his staff. So I kind of reached out and obviously had the opportunity to learn from one of the best in the game. I think Coach Kellogg is extremely smart in what he does. Obviously, he's had success at every level that he's been at. So I came and I was here under him for a year, and just really what you know, like I talked about the excellence and the sustained tradition that this program has. You know, I played West Texas 10 times in my career, and my record is 0-10 against them. Yes. So that's one thing. Obviously, winning, like everyone, you know, winning is fun, but winning is hard. You have to work extremely hard to get the results that you want. So when I had that opportunity to just, you know, see it at a different level, obviously it was kind of no brainer to kind of step into that position. And then obviously, my boss now, Coach Kristen Matteo, who coached under Mark Kellogg for a while, she took over as the head coach and then obviously has had tremendous success. So it's definitely been just a really, really good experience for me. I always kind of, you know, think I'm like, gosh, I've just been so fortunate to have really good bosses that I've like worked under and that have the same morals and values as me. So, because I think that makes it a lot easier just to want to go to work every day. So, it's just, you know, been a really good experience and humbling experience for sure.
That's good stuff. So connections are really important. I'm assuming
Sorry, what'd you say?
connections are really good. I'm assuming.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Got you. So, coach, question: what's some of the pitfalls you see? Because you've been in the game for a minute. What's some of the pitfalls you see from players, from a player perspective, and people that's in the same profession?
You know, I think that there's a lot of people that kind of lose sight of the actual like fundamentals and stuff of the game. They just more want to go and just play. Like, let me just go hoop. Whereas there's a lot of people that just don't want to actually work on a ball handling or even passing, stuff like that. You know, and those are things that kind of I think get pushed to the wayside because everyone just wants to go and hoop. And those are the skills and that'll take you kind of to the next level is just really fine tuning just the three basic fundamentals of basketball passing or start shooting, passing, and dribbling. You know, I think if you, we always say, like when we're recruiting, if you can't shoot the ball, then it's like hard to teach somebody to want to shoot the ball at the next level. And so it's just really those three like fine tuned areas that are just simple, but I think they kind of get overlooked here now in this generation. It's just everyone wants to hoop instead of actually fine tune their skills.
I agree, coach. I think, and I think it's even more important because you're working on your craft, whereas you're playing. And most of the time, when kids are playing pickup ball, they're not giving that full intensity. They're not going 100%. They're not even sometimes getting past half court on defense. I mean, you know,
Oh man. Look, we got a rule. And if somebody steals the ball or something like if you don't get to have court, like the game is over. Cause we're not playing this like jogging, doing all this. Like if you're playing, like we are playing. So I mean we have some rules and stuff like with our open gym because it's like you said, it's like if you're not gonna go 100%, then we're not gonna do this. Like it doesn't make sense to do that.
absolutely. So in the coaching profession, what's some of the things you be like, you know what, not doing that. That's not doing that. That is not who I am, and that's who I choose not to.
I am I try to relate to my players as much as possible. I try to see things from their lens, because it's obviously different than even when I was growing up. And I just think that the more I can understand and listen, and kind of help guide them, through their lens, then that's kind of how I, try to do things. I mean, I'm not a big my voice is very loud, so when I talk people can like hear me, so it's almost like, I don't have to yell. I can just talk pretty sternly and they can like understand, but I'm not a big yeller or demeaning, or I don't think that gets players anywhere. um, Obviously there's some motivation and stuff behind it, but I think the more you can understand and see things through this generation's eyes and their lens, it really helps them like relate to you. So that's really what I've, tried to focus on over the years, is just continuing to figure out ways that I can help, this generation continue to be the difference once they finish.
You got to evolve with the times. Got to evolve with the
Oh
times.
yeah,
Otherwise, you get left behind.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, Coach, not get into the scheme of what y'all do, but what's some of the things you see? You see a kid, you be like, oh yeah, they could be in this program. What's some of the things that stand out? Some of the things you see them play, you see them work out. What are some of the things that just be like, oh, okay, I will probably recruit this kid, or like, you know what, you're going to the other list.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're really big on just engagement and body language and just how kids, interact with coaches, with their teammates, even with their parents. So we watch like all that stuff even before we're looking at the actual skill set, because I think it's so important to find the right kids that obviously kind of have the same vision that we have, but the kids that want to kind of be overachievers, kind of be a little different, kind of like we talked about. And just the way they interact and their body language is just, I think, speaks volumes. Like they don't even have to touch a ball. You can pretty much tell how a kid is going to be, if once they get into adversity, just kind of how they act, like with their body language. So we kind of watch body language a lot. Obviously, the skill set. I mean, we always start from the offensive end, like we want to score. So you got to be able to put the ball in the hole. So we look at different skill sets: shooting, attacking the rim, ball handling, can they change directions, some of that kind of stuff. And then obviously, we always say defensively we can figure out how to work around stuff. We do a lot of different things defensively. So we I would say we focus more on the offensive end than we would defensively. But I think just finding players that really fit our style and our system, and just kind of more importantly the morals and values of becoming a good person, great person, kind of is what our job is once they get here, is just continue to develop them into the best woman that they can be, and challenging them um, each and every day.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of the two things that I really picked up on is your attitude. The attitude, you got to be a good teammate, which is good
Yep.
attitude, and you got to have a fire and a passion.
Yes, absolutely. I think your attitude, that's something you can control. And that's just, you can choose to be a bad teammate, or you can be choose to be a good teammate. I think that's all, your choice is kind of up to you. And whether you like something or not, it's just kind of how you choose to deal with it, so to speak. So
And you know what, Coach? I think I'm sure you watched The Last Dance.
Oh yeah,
And
man, MJ.
there's a lot of talk about Jordan as a teammate, but at the end of the day, you kind of see basically, at the end of the day, he won rings.
Absolutely.
So, and they just think he's a bad team. I don't think me personally, I don't think he's a bad teammate. I just like he wanted to win.
Absolutely. But I think that, there's a way that you can do it,
Hmm.
that maybe is not in Jordan's way. And I think this generation is probably more equipped to not doing it that way just because they don't like the confrontation, so to speak. They want the affirmation of, hey, I am doing good, and once you tell them they are doing good, then they will continue to want to do more. So that's, obviously, because my style would be more like Jordan's. So that's something that I've had to obviously change as a coach, is because they don't respond to that, so to speak. They don't like confrontation. They want affirmation that things are going good, that they just did something good. And once they hear the things are doing good, now they're going to want to do more, is kind of how, you know with our leadership style and stuff, some of that, even some of our players, that's kind of more the style that I think kids respond to these days. So just like you said, you got to evolve and change. um, so I think that's kind of the direction maybe that some of these kids respond to better.
I agree. So, Coach, what's your thoughts on social media as far as recruiting your players? It's all.
I mean, I guess, we always say to use social media, you got to be mature. And with maturity gives you that freedom to be able to do it. Now, obviously, right now, social media is crazy. It's kind of taken the more like bullying, so to speak, I think. And it's just, there's just all kinds of stuff going on. But as far as recruiting and some of that aspect, I mean, we're very involved in social media. Our athletics page, we post stuff on there. I think it's important. That's how kids engage these days. And I think that you have to do it. I think that that's how you can figure out if a kid is interested in you or not. I think kids are pretty open and honest with social media and how they display themselves on that. We look at kids, their likes, their retweets, that kind of stuff when we're recruiting. I think that says a lot about them and kind of what they're interested in. So those are just all areas, that I want to say it's kind of like a cheat sheet, so to speak, when you're recruiting. I think it tells you a lot about the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was possible to track people's likes or players' likes too.
Yeah. Yep.
So, throughout a typical day, what's a typical day from a coach's perspective, from y'all, what y'all do on a daily basis, and what the players do on a daily basis?
So obviously it differs depending on the season that we're in, but normally our kids have class in the mornings, and then we practice mid-afternoon. We either have a 12:30 to 3:30 slot, or we have a 3:30 to 6:30 slot. Men's and women's, we actually don't share our facility with volleyball. They have their own arena, which is nice. So we have our own basketball facility. So that makes it nice. So it's just men's and women's basketball. So normally we practice in one of those time slots. And then normally after practice, we usually do like a study hall or something like that. But I mean, the girls usually have class, they have weights 3 times a week. Um, and then obviously we usually play Thursday, Saturday. So we would usually leave on a Wednesday. We don't have class on Fridays, so that's nice. That we go Monday through Thursday. So Fridays our girls have off, which they like, obviously, when we have a game on Thursday. So that's kind of a schedule. And again, it kind of differs in between the seasons that we're in right now. So,
From a coach's perspective, like what's some of the because I've actually talked to some and say, man, well, 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. So
I mean, well, my schedule, because I usually work out in the mornings, I usually get up, around 5 or so. So I can do all my workouts and all that. And then, we don't practice much with our teams in the morning. A lot of that is because we don't play at that hour. My coach is really big on routine and just getting our kids equipped to actually competing at the time that we're going to play. So we do a lot of our stuff in the afternoon, but I'm usually at work by 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then depending when we finish, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock if we have study hall, some of that kind of stuff. Um, but I would say that my boss does a really good job with just the balance side of it, work and balance. And she does have a lot of respect for us, like assistants outside of basketball and just some of the stuff we like to do. Obviously, I mentioned like the bodybuilding stuff. So, she allows me to do that stuff. And so I'm grateful for that. But I mean, I wouldn't say we kill ourselves, but when there's work that needs to be done, then obviously we'll get it done.
so yeah, now I was just about to ask about the work life balance. So that's really important that you touched on that. So, Coach, what's some of the academic requirements for the school?
Oh, that's a good question. So, obviously, our goal as coaches is to make sure that our players get their degrees. And so, obviously, we want to win and win championships, but we place a premium on the athletic or the academic success. And so, obviously, we have study halls like we talked about. We have a lot of resources that allow our kids to have success. We had a team GPA of a 3.63 this year. So that's 14 girls that maintained a 3.63. So that's something that we really focus on is just maintaining. We don't ask everyone to get a 4.0. We just ask everyone to give the best that they can. And obviously that's going to differ from girl to girl. Some may not need as much help as the others, but that's, for them to make sure they seek out. Most of our girls have tutors, not because they don't, not because they need it, but because they just want to, maybe get that next higher letter grade. So, we're very hands on with our academics. We have academic coaches that our players talk to, which would be myself or our other assistants. So we just make sure that they're, obviously maintaining the highest academic standpoint that they can. So that's kind of how we oversee our academics.
For example, let me ask you this, Coach. I appreciate that. To have that, I would say, academic structure and that the academic um, environment where it fosters success. 3.63 is, man, that got to be ranked high as far as in the country.
Yeah, so I think it will be top 25 academically. That's our goal. Is not only to be ranked athletically in the top 25, but academically as well. We think it just kind of go hand in hand. If you're doing well on the court, you're going to do well in the classroom. I mean, I just think that that's kind of, and obviously, like we talked about, there's some kids that need more help than others, which is totally fine. We like that. We like diversity. We like kids that come from all different backgrounds. I love it because that's kind of how I grew up. So I just love seeing kids succeed at all levels. I think it's extremely important that you know they kind of view academics the same way they view basketball. And obviously everyone wants to hoop, but at some point basketball is going to end and you got to have those degrees to fall back on. So that's our job as coaches, is to make sure that they get that.
Cool. So, Coach, what's your thoughts on AAU summer ball? Talk to me.
I love it. I played for Diana Sager and Texas Express back in the day. well, our team was really good. We had Whitney Hand and Jordan Ford and Micah and a whole bunch of them that went and played, Division I basketball. So I love it. I think it's great. I know some coaches don't love it, but I think that it's a great platform for girls and just allows them to play. Now, obviously, everyone's going to run the risk of getting injured, even if you're out playing by yourself. So I don't think that the injury, some of that stuff, I think it's great. I love AAU. I'm really mad that I don't get to watch it this summer, but
So with the COVID situation, how has that changed how way y'all operate?
So we've just really utilized obviously social media a lot more, Zoom calls like we talked about. We just have really, tried to stay connected as much as possible and show our faces as much as we can, in any way, form, or fashion. I wouldn't say it's affected us too much. I mean, obviously, when you can't go out and evaluate kids live, that's obviously a lot different than just watching a tape on the internet. But um, I think that the 2022s, 23s, like some of that, that's where the highlights and some of that stuff will help just because they'll get to have the next summer where some of the 21s may not with their evaluations. So, I mean, it's definitely been a change, just, the creative side of it, figuring out ways to connect to kids that you can't physically see. But that's all, just being a little more creative, I think.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, Coach, man, I greatly appreciate it. I enjoy. I actually like doing these interviews, man. Give our
Yeah.
parents, because some of them don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
no, absolutely.
so here's one question I have I haven't asked. So
Okay.
or how do you incorporate parents into the recruiting process?
We talk to parents probably second, third phone call. So if I talk to a parent or if I talk to a kid, I'm going to go talk to my boss about them. And then I'm going to, she'll probably get on the phone next with the kid, and then we're going to get the parents involved pretty quickly. I think we're really big on, just families, support. Who is their support system? Who are they going to talk to with this big decision? Those are the people that we need to educate on us as individuals, us as a university. So some of that stuff is really big to us and just involving whoever it may be that's important to them pretty early in the recruiting process.
So, have you, since you've been in the business, have you experienced any passionate parents that you were like, you know what, we might have to talk to the kid more and kind of calm or make the parent feel more comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I experience that too often. I mean, obviously, there's, parents that have the parent goggles and they think their kid is the best thing ever and, that they do no wrong and stuff like that, which is fine. I get it. My parents were probably a little bit that way. I think every parent is.
Right.
But I think I think it comes down to trust. Once they genuinely trust you and understand that you have their kids best interest at heart, to me that's when you kind of can break through some of those barriers and stuff. So I think it's just information and them beginning, just hearing you talk, the way you do stuff, what's important to you, the way view stuff, all that stuff is important. And I think once that trust factor is built, I think that kind of breaks down some of those walls and stuff like that.
Man, and just giving these parents the opportunity and the kids to understand here because they hear from me as a trainer, as a coach, they hear from me, but it's like, oh, okay, so let, let me bring somebody else here, and you heard
Yeah.
from somebody else, that actually gives it more weight and more credibility. So
Yep.
greatly appreciate it, Coach. We will be in
Yeah,
contact.
absolutely.
I appreciate you for even, connecting with me on Facebook and being open to being on our platform.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. I'm always open to help in any way I can. I definitely want to see kids succeed in everything that they do. So definitely here to help.
We'll do, man. We just got our NCAA certification um, notification. We just got that maybe a week ago. So
That's good. Yeah.
I'm excited about that with the recruiting and the scouting services. So we'll be in contact. It's a lot of kids in Dallas Fort Worth that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, absolutely. I know. We signed Jillian Sal from South Lake Carroll.
Okay. Lady
So she'll be with what's up?
South Lake Carroll Dragons, Lady Dragons.
Yeah. So she'll be with us. She'll be a freshman next year. So we have a few others from the Dallas area as well. So obviously we know that's a big area recruiting.
Yes.
So a lot of
Coach,
talent.
man, I appreciate your time. We will be in contact.
Okay, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.